And one thing I did notice with Andy Farrell, and just to talk, because I did want to come in on that point just a little bit, was I've just noticed a little bit, like, do you know what I really didn't love over the last while? I didn't love, and I'm a massive fan of his as well. I didn't love the get out of the defense thing with Sam Prendergast. It feels like that, all those things feel like it feeds into the defensive thing. It feeds into some of the stuff with the ruck and, the stuff with the referee, to me, I would now, I don't know any coach I played with that would have having an out for someone like, do you remember you said, oh, it's a work on for him. You're kind of going, it's a work on. Like, he, didn't make a tackle all day. Like, to me, there were some non-negotiables for a guy like him. I would look, I would have looked at Joe Schmidt, I would have looked at like Andy Farrell, and I kind of would put them in a pedal, different guys. But I would have said, like, well, no matter what, like, there's an expectation kind of physically, and I know I'm going to get cleaned out in a meeting on a Monday, and probably in the press if I don't do my job, or I don't execute on the physical part of the game. That was always kind of a non-negotiable, I would have thought, with him. So this it feels like there's just a little bit of slippage, and I wonder, is now like a good time would have been to kind of arrest that in November, but I didn't get enough time really with the squad. Like, and this guy, the Lions thing is very disruptive. I think now what I'll be watching closely is kind of the chat from him around the Ireland squad and what manifests on the pitch and how he kind of deals with it afterwards. Because I think you can't, if the coach is giving you outs, like, you're going to take them. Some people will take them. Like, he needs to be, like, that group, to me, he needs to be driving the standards in the group. I think Sexton should be a good guy for that. Paul, he has guys there who believe in that type of, I would have thought they would believe in that type of, dealing with people and discipline and things. They would believe in that. That would be a core of how they kind of played the game, and how you train, how you deliver physically. They were all non-negotiables for those players. So I don't know why when they become coaches it wouldn't be for them too. So I think he should be leading that bit a little bit more, and it feels like it's a bit of leakage that maybe he should be arresting.
Could be publicly saying one thing, privately saying.
No, I'm sure that is, but from what I gather, it's a very different setup to when I was there in terms of how you can talk to people. I think it's a generational thing, but to me, that is a red flag as well. Like, I don't think, like, if you're making errors at this stage, like, you need to call it out. You can still do it in the right way, but you need to be calling out people to improve standards of things, and you need to be able to have honest conversations with people, and sometimes tough conversations. And I just, I hope I'm sure that hasn't gone away. I couldn't imagine Sexton not cleaning people out in a meeting if there was. If there's kind of glaring errors, like he was, I just don't. Maybe it has changed, but to me, that's a big problem in an organization if that stuff starts seeping in, where you can't be honest with each other. Honesty is, an integral part of any kind of, if you're going on a journey to be great, like, and to achieve great things and to achieve your potential, like, being honest with each other as a 30-man or 35-man group. To me, that's a cornerstone of it. So. I don't think you'll achieve anything great if you can't be honest. So, I get the point. You could be publicly doing that, but I have just heard something different about certainly how some of the younger players feel about receiving kind of honest feedback or direct feedback. I think it's a problem if you're not doing it. So I just thought when we're talking about Farrell, I just think
an interesting insight to get.
You can be coming too palsy with guys if you're there that long, and it can be hard to do. But I think he's got a role. Like, if I look at Farrell, you shake the guy's hand, he means business. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm sure he just feels like a guy who, bullshit would never have really, been a part of the makeup. Is in, like, he would have been in Wigan teams that would have been, like, unacceptable. As a coach, I would always say, if you listen to him speak about defence, you ever see the Lions tours where he's the defence coach, you're kind of going like, wow, I'd follow that guy into battle. I would, like, the last thing I want is to let him down. So I'm sure he still has that. But when I heard the Prendergast thing, I was like, that's a bit of an alarm bell to me. Like, that can't seep in anywhere, no matter where you are. Sorry,
just to say, like, perhaps there's a generational element where
maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
the way people would have been speaking to players or giving feedback could be very different now.
Maybe he can shake it up now. Like, it's like that thing with the referees. Could you shake it up with something? Could you just, he's there a long time. Like, just change it up with a different message, a different. Okay, I gave 3 examples there of things you could kind of go, well, let's shake the group. Let's do something completely different than we've done, and see if it has an impact. If it shakes them into life a little bit and gives a bit of confidence that you're just focusing on, whatever it is. I don't know.
I think it's, in November, from what I heard was it was a far more, he rolled them hard in November. Like,
no more Mr. Nice Andy Farrell, that was ahead.
Yeah, but I think like before the 2023 World Cup, when he had, Sexton, Earls, O'Mahony were kind of this, Murray were the senior men, and Keane Healy, and he had this group of really experienced pros, and he had this kind of, it was all about the environment and the family first, and everyone. It was like, the complete opposite of Joe in terms of it being a much less pressurized environment. There's no meetings at the hotel, all that stuff that was a real strength. I think he's found since the World Cup and as those senior players left, that maybe it was a little bit too comfortable, and he's tried to make it less comfortable for the young players. But I hadn't heard what you've heard about that. That will be a worry. But I suppose you have to find a way of getting through to these young players if they're not going to take that well, or it's going to damage their confidence. Like, confidence has to be an issue after South Africa. It was an incredibly chastening day, and he was really, he knew he couldn't sow it into them in public. Like, he was really kind of leaning into the bravery of the defensive effort. Like, kind of South Africa kind of chose, but I think he just knew he couldn't sow it into them, because I think he'd been hard on them all week. We called out Doris and Sheen in front of the whole group the week of the South Africa game to try and get something out of them, and it didn't get the response. And then they go out and they're ill disciplined and all the stuff that we've already talked about, and they come off the pitch. He just knew that he couldn't go. He couldn't say that. Maybe he's within the maybe in Portugal this week when they review it, because apparently they haven't reviewed it since. It'll be like, this was unacceptable. But at the time, he just felt, I can't let these lads leave Ireland camp with the last thing they heard being a complete bollocking.
And your use of the word chastening is an interesting one, because I feel like when that word has been used in prior instances, it's been such a damaging experience that it's taken a while to shake. 2019, England coming to town. I actually remember, we actually had a pot after that 59-14 World Cup warm-up game in 2023 or 2019. Like, that was another disastrous chastening experience. I kind of, not that I'd forgotten about the South Africa game. I obviously hadn't, in terms of the talking points and how would it inform this chat, but I kind of forgot about the psychological scars that could be there from getting such a hiding.
And France at home.
Yeah.
That was a hammering.
Like, so, and then you have France away on Thursday, yeah.
The only thing I'd say is, right, look, so, like, to me, there's some obvious things that you could do quite well to keep things, at least, like, if it's close, like, like, that's the one thing you want to think when you're going over there. You want to keep it close. You want it to be stingy. I think the selection of 10 is an obvious one for me. I picked the best goal kicker, and I pick a guy who's pretty solid defensively. He's not, he's not like Crowley. Crowley's better defensively, but to me, that's something you can do to kind of control. Like, we're going to be stingy, as we're going to kick most of our goals. And I think that's a good starting point. I think it's, your set piece, like, just try and find a way to survive at scrum, but be really, really good at line out. Like, be excellent there. France are really good there. Be excellent there. Like, have a great week there. At line out time, have a very clear kicking strategy. Find some ways that you can put pressure on them and get into the game. And then on the attack side, is there something? I would simplify. Like, they'll give away penalties. France will be ill-disciplined. You know what I mean? They will do that. So sometimes it might be a case of hanging on to the ball and maybe not trying to play the extravagant one, but use McCluskey looks like he's in form. He to me, you got to probably pick him if he's fit.
Definitely.
Get over the gain line. Just simple things. Find simple ways to get into the game. Get over the gain line consistently and hang on to the ball, and be nuggety, be difficult. Just, and the discipline, focus on that. Like, maybe try what I've kind of suggested, but, like, no one's going to listen to me there, but, like, try something like that. And, I think you do have an avenue into the game if you can kind of keep some of the key guys quiet too, So, if they're really well prepared and they have a great couple of weeks here together, there is enough quality there to cause most teams in the world problems if you're effective and if you have a really clear game plan. And they clean up what has been a problem for Irish rugby, or the provinces at least at this point, on the discipline side. Give them nothing. Like, if they're going to score, just make sure you make it as hard as possible, but don't be giving away silly penalties. Don't just avoid that at all costs. Keep 15 on the pick for the whole game. Keep it below 10. In terms of penalties, if they score tries, but just be stingy. Have that attitude going into the game, and if you can keep it close, you've got a guy who's ready for the big stage. I think in Byrne, he'll take the ball off. He wants to kick. He looks like he wants to kick in the big games. So if you are close, you have a guy who could deliver for you. And yeah, that's it. I think there's a formula there to be good. You have guys who've won big games here too for Ireland, in Ireland jerseys. They've won Grand Slams, so they've some tough times recently. But move forward from that and be very clear and very clear about what you want to do, and focus on your basics, your rucking, your defence, good kicking strategy. Some of those guys will be shaky enough under high balls. Make them doubt themselves. Get into them, climb into them in certain areas. Yeah, I'm not as down on this thing as maybe I think the chat has been obviously one of concern, and there is lots of areas of concern. But I think he can arrest this thing pretty quickly, and he's got big personalities there. Like Paulie's a big personality. Like he's someone you can rely on here to get the team in a good place. But Sexto, like he doesn't have to do it all on his own either here, you know. So come up with a plan about maybe who's going to be harsh this week, and maybe he's the guy who gives you something back on. Look, we needed to cover this. It was tough for everyone to watch, but that's that. And maybe he gets Sexton to row into them, or he gets Paulie to row into them, and he says, "Look, Paulie's rowed into you there, you know, but this is what we have done. Maybe show them a great game that they have played together." That's not that far away, I don't think. Do you know what I mean? So there's ways you can bring this thing back around. This is what we're capable of. This is the plan for France. Do you know what I mean? That's how I might be approaching it. It's just simple, clear messages, you know.
Well, a nice full circle answer, I think, that wrap up Friday.